Hey guys, Merry Christmas. It is Joe Adams with Haystack Inspection Services. It's that time of year again, and we're going to talk about Christmas safety. So we're going to get into it right now. That's right, guys. This time of year, it's time to deck the halls. And nobody likes decking the halls more than I do, but we have to do it safely. So here's some tips on how to stay safe this holiday season. First of all, make sure that the lights that you're using, whether it's outside or on your Christmas tree, make sure they're in good working condition. Make sure the wires aren't frayed. Make sure that you don't have any damaged bulbs. Make sure that if you're using those lights outside, that they're rated for outside use and they're not interior bulbs or interior lights. If you do find that any of those are damaged, make sure just to throw those away. Get a new strand of lights. They're much cheaper than having to deal with an electrical issue in the middle of the holiday season. 2, make sure that the exterior outlets on your house that you have all of your Christmas lights plugged into are GFCI protected. Now, a lot of older homes don't have those protections, but they're really going to be your first line of defense against having a problem with those lights. If you do have some damage to a light fixture or a light wire or something like that, and you don't notice it when you do your inspection of your lights, and then you hang those outside and they get ice and snow and rain and things like that on there, it can cause a problem. If there's not a GFCI that will kick it off, then you're relying on the breaker to do that. So if you don't have GFCIs outside, it's not super expensive to have those installed, and those are, like I said, going to be your first line of defense against ground faults. Number 3, so if you do use extension cords outside, 1, make sure that they are rated to be used outside. There are extension cords that are rated for interior use only that are not meant to be outside and can't withstand being out in the elements. So make sure that the extension cord that you're using outside, if you are using one, is rated to be outside. Along with that, make sure that your connections, if you're using an extension cord, the connection where the extension cord meets the lights or the display in the yard or whatever it is, make sure that you get a housing. Make sure you get an extension cord connection cover. And I'll put one on the screen so you know what those look like. Make sure that they have a rubber gasket in there so that when they're closed, no moisture's getting in. Otherwise, you're creating an area for it to collect water, and that's certainly not what you want around the extension. Next up is a pretty common sense item. Make sure you water your Christmas tree if you have one. So if it's been sitting on a Christmas tree lot, they don't get water unless it rains on them. And it may have been there or at the very least in transit for weeks before you get it. So it's likely dried by the time it gets to your house. Put some water in the base. Make sure that because it'll likely pull up a gallon of water in a day, the first day. Add some more water. Make sure you keep water in there so that the tree can absorb some of that to try its best to not dry out as much as possible. It's a pretty small thing, but it does help. The next thing is making sure that we move to modern technology. Okay, and what I mean by that is don't put candles on your Christmas tree. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory as to why we don't want to do that. You could certainly start a fire with a candle. In addition to that, some of the older light strands and older bulbs, for people that put Christmas lights on their Christmas tree, if you've been putting the same strand on there for years and years, and it's an old C7 strand where you've got those bigger bulbs, they get really hot. and they could cause a fire. If your Christmas tree is really dry and you get an excess amount of heat coming off of those bulbs in the right spot, and they're left on all the time, Christmas tree fires, they develop very quickly, and they're no joke. It's too easy to go ahead and get LEDs. They don't get hot at all, and you can put them on your Christmas tree as long as the wiring is safe, and it's going to be a safer holiday season for you and your family. While we're talking about fires, make sure that your smoke detectors are in operation. So it's a good time of year. Everyone's moving indoors. You're turning your furnaces on. You know, you're maybe using space heaters. I don't advise that, but if you must, make sure that they have an anti-tip device in them. So if they tip over, they go off. You know, leave all the oily rags out in the garage. Don't bring them in the house. Check the smoke detectors, okay? Check the smoke detectors. It's too easy. All you gotta do is that they should have a test button on it. If it doesn't, then it's too old to be used anyway. 10 years is about all you need for a smoke detector. Beyond that, replace it. Get a new one. Make sure they're all in operation. Make sure that you turn off all the lights before you go to bed, before you leave the house. All of those things, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory type stuff, but I feel like I feel obligated to include it. So, because some people don't. So make sure that you do these things. Another thing that sounds pretty self-explanatory, make sure that when you're putting out extension cords, whether it's in the house or out in the yard or on the porch or around your house, make sure that it's not in a walkway. If it has to cross a walkway, tape it down and make sure that it's a bright enough color tape where everyone sees it so they don't trip over it. So tripping hazards, I mean, it's a small thing, but something that you don't want to deal with. You know, you have relatives coming over for the holidays and grandma trips over your extension cord, breaks a hip, and now your holidays have been dampered. So make sure that all of that is safe, so that when you have people coming over or you're just out in the yard, maybe with your kids, no one gets in. So if you have pets or kids, and you love decorating for the holidays and you get real mistletoe or you get a poinsettia, these are both poisonous to people and animals. Make sure you have them in a place where the kids, the dog, the cat can't get to it and potentially eat it. If you have a dog that, you know, chews on everything, maybe you wait until the dog's a little older and gets out of that phase before you start buying those things, because they're poisonous. And you certainly don't want to spend your holiday season at the vet or in the emergency room. All right, and the last thing here is, if you're traveling for the holidays, make sure that you lock your doors and your windows. As a home inspector, we come and check people's homes all the time. And it's remarkable how many times we go into a home and we're checking the windows and half the windows on the main floor have been left unlocked. That's certainly not okay. You should always lock your doors, lock your windows, especially if you're traveling and you're going to be out of town for any extended period of time to go see relatives. Make sure that it's locked up. If you have a security system, make sure it's set. Maybe have a neighbor come by, check things out, make sure everything's okay, get your mail, just to have that presence that, hey, somebody might be living there, and if anybody's paying any kind of attention and they know, well, they're going to be gone for the holidays, it's a perfect opportunity for someone to get in. So lock your doors, lock your windows. It's pretty simple. Well, guys, that pretty much does it. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas from my family to yours. If you like what we're doing, drop a like, send us a comment, tell us how much you like the channel, that you like our videos. Subscribe to the channel if you would. That would be helpful. And I'm going to share this on all our social media accounts. So, Haystack Inspection Services, we want to inspect your dream home. Until next time, guys, take it easy.
Okay, let's go.
Make sure that 2. Ho, ho, ho.